So you've heard about Boise, Idaho, and you're seriously consider making it your new home, but you've got questions. Good. This is the right video for you. In this video, I'm going to tackle a lot of the common questions I've received about relocating to Boise, Idaho, and I'm going to answer each of these questions in turn. There are about 18 of them, and I might throw in a little extra info along the way. Now, I'm not saying Boise is the perfect fit for absolutely everyone, but for many people, it turns out to be one of the best moves they ever make. Whether you're looking for a quiet mountain town or a vibrant city or a family-friendly suburb, Idaho has options for you, especially Boise. Now, who am I? I'm Craig Flood, a real estate agent, and I've helped a lot of families make the move and relocation to the state of Idaho. In fact, my wife and I went through the relocation process ourselves. If you want to hear about our experience, the pros and cons, the good, the bad, the ugly, you can go ahead and watch that video right there. So during our research phase, Idaho seemed like the perfect fit for our family. And in reality, that's exactly what it turned out to be. So my wife and I have 4 kids, and Idaho has been an amazing place to explore, build friendships, and raise our family. And we love the natural beauty that Idaho has to offer, the outdoor adventures, and just the overall quality of life that we find here. It was shocking when we came, and we'll never turn back. All right, let's kick it off. Question number 1, what do Boise residents consider a hot summer? So in Idaho, a hot summer means temperatures kind of flirting with the 90 degrees Fahrenheit. With that being said, it is common for temperatures to get into the triple digits. On average, Boise experiences about 6 days per year where we're going to hit 100 degrees or more. And I remember a few years ago where Boise broke a record, or you could say set a record. I think it was 27 days hitting that 100-degree mark. It was really hot, and I'd be happy not to go back to that again. But don't worry, this is a dry heat, so you kind of feel like you're a potato being baked in an oven. Is Boise becoming too crowded with newcomers? Or, as some of you have asked, with Californians? So there's been a noticeable influx of Californians seeking refuge from the high costs, traffic jams, and politics of California. If you move here, the locals would most likely tell you they would appreciate it if you didn't try to turn it into the place you just escaped from. And to add to that, if you do move here, you're going to see that sentiment on bumper stickers. You will probably see bumper stickers that say, "Don't California my Idaho." But the question is it too crowded? And I would say there's still plenty of room for you to move here and for other people to move here and kind of stretch out and have some elbow space. What is winter like in Idaho compared to some other states, maybe like, let's say, Montana and Minnesota? Boise winters are like Goldilocks porridge. They're not too harsh, they're not too mild, and I would say they're just right. I can't say that for all of Idaho. A lot of Idaho varies. But let's compare Idaho to some other states. So Montana will freeze your face off in the wintertime, and Minnesota, it makes you question why humans settled there in the first place. I remember I lived in Montana for a winter, and I spent time in Minnesota in the winter and like other places like Chicago, and I'm shocked that people stay there. So we'll just leave it at that. Boise? Now, you can expect snow, but not so much that you're going to need a PhD in shoveling. It's just not that bad. Okay, here's a good question for you. Are there actually good places for avocado toast in Idaho? Surprisingly, the answer to that's going to be yes. Boise has fully embraced the avocado toast trend, so no need to smuggle in California avocados like some underground guac dealer. You'll be okay, we got you covered. Just don't expect every coffee shop to cater to a double calf soy no foam latte with a twist. But honestly, I'm probably just kidding. You could probably get that here. What's the reality of snowfall and winter conditions in Idaho? So snowfall in Boise, it's going to vary, but on average, you're looking at maybe 20 inches a year. It's enough to remind you that it's winter, but it's not enough to turn your driveway into a full-time job. So roads, they're going to be well maintained, but you're going to want to invest in an ice scraper and definitely get some shoes that are going to give you some traction as you're walking around in the wintertime. What about taxes in Idaho? Are they high or are they low? So Idaho's tax situation is, I'm going to say, middle of the road. The state income tax is a flat 5.8%. Sales tax is 6%. And then Boise's property taxes, I'm actually going to cover that in another question where I'll break down a scenario on like a $550,000 house. So with taxes, you're not going to be swimming in like a tax-free savings pool like Scrooge McDuck, but you're also not going to have to sell your kidney to pay them. Are Californians regretting their move to Boise? And honestly, some do, some don't. The slower pace and the cultural differences that you're going to see here in Boise can literally be quite a shock to the system. You can think you want it, but in reality, when push comes to shove, a year or two goes by, you give up and you're like, nope, don't want it. I thought I did, but I didn't. And then in addition to that too, like winter isn't always welcomed with open arms. But on the flip side of that, a lot of people do appreciate the affordability, the outdoor lifestyle, and the sense of community that they find here. And that typically is what got them to come in the first place and then gets them to stick around for the long haul. So to sum it up, Boise is not California, and that's exactly why people from California move here. Okay, back to weather. How cold does Boise actually get in the wintertime? Let's say in December and January. So the average highs, they can hover around 38 degrees with the lows dipping into 25 degrees. Again, snowfall, that's going to be right around 20 inches annually. And again, typically it arrives in manageable, like 2 to 3 inch doses. So while you don't need to bundle up, you won't need to channel your inner Eskimo to survive here. Again, it's just not that bad. So is Boise genuinely family friendly and safe? And I would say absolutely. Boise consistently ranks among the safest cities in the U.S. With low crime rates and neighborhoods where kids can actually play outside without causing widespread parental panic. What's the deal with traffic in Boise? Is it getting worse? I would say yes, but let's keep that in perspective. It's not Los Angeles bad. Rush hour might end up adding 5, 10, 15 minutes to your drive, which is just enough time to perfect your in-car karaoke skills, or you can knock out that last Joe Rogan podcast before you get home. How do Boise winters impact daily life? So snow and ice happen, meaning occasional school closures, a few nervous drivers on the road, but the city really keeps things moving, and we all adapt. I would just say drive a little bit slower and leave some room between you and the car in front of you. What's the cost of living in Idaho compared to California? Boise's cost of living is definitely going to be significantly lower than if you were living in California. So housing is more affordable, and you'll actually be able to own a home here without selling your soul to a tech giant. You might even have money left over to fill your garage with some nice motorized vehicles, or maybe a rafting boat to go out and enjoy the outdoors because of all the time that you've saved because you're not stuck in traffic and you actually have some leftover money. Also, in terms of cost of living, if you want to click on the link in the description down below, you can look at a video I did on that where I did the cost of living. How welcoming are Idaho locals to newcomers? So Idahoans, I would absolutely say, are known for their friendliness. While there is some apprehension about this influx of newcomers, I think if you're just respectful and you embrace the Idaho way of life, that's going to go a long ways. Another little pro tip for you, learn to pronounce Kuna, Coeur d'Alene, and Boise. So even I say it wrong sometimes. It's not Boise, it's Boise. Next, is healthcare in Boise good, especially for seniors? So healthcare facilities are well regarded, particularly in the urban areas like Boise. You're going to get a lot of good options. In fact, I talked to a lot of you guys who call in who are literally transferring up here to go work at places like St. Luke's, St. Alphonsus, and also the VA. The VA is highly rated up here. It gets great reviews. You can't always say that about VAs in other major cities. But rural regions, you may have fewer options, but this is a reason why people really like the Treasure Valley, so Boise and the surrounding cities, because you can live a rural lifestyle but still be really close to good hospitals. But either way, there's no need to start Googling like DIY medical treatments. You're definitely going to get taken care of here. And I would say if you need a specific specialist, just be sure to call ahead of time. Make sure that you can find what you're looking for so that you can confidently move here and know that you're going to get the treatment that you need at that stage in your life. Are property taxes in Idaho reasonable? Yes, and here's how it works. So the county is going to decide how much your home is worth each year. If you live in your home, it's your primary residence, then you're going to get the homeowner's exemption, which is going to reduce the taxable value by 50% up to $125,000. So right now the tax rate on my home in Boise is going to be 0.009. So you pay $9 for every $1,000 of your taxable home value. So quick tax example for you. So if you have a home valued at $500,000, you subtract the homeowner's exemption, $125,000. The taxable value is $375,000, and multiply that by 0.009 and you get $3,375 a year in property taxes. Next question, how affordable is rent compared to home ownership? The age-old question. All right, should you buy or should you rent? So let's break that down. Average rent in Boise, Idaho right now is going to be right around $1,700. So let's take $1,700, throw on $25 for renter's insurance. That will come out to about $20,700 a year. So now let's look at the home ownership side. So the median home value in Boise has seen significant appreciation over the past 6 years, rising from $350,000 in 2019 to $550,000 in 2025. So that's roughly a 38% increase over that 6-year period. So let's break this down. Let's say you buy a house worth $550,000. Let's say you put 20% down to avoid PMI. So then your loan amount is going to be $440,000. Now with a 30-year fixed rate mortgage at a current interest rate of, let's say, 6.75, your principal and interest for that would be $2,850 a month. Let's say taxes would be right around $275, insurance $100, mortgage insurance, we're going to put that at 0 because you put your 20% down. Let's throw in HOAs at $50 a month. So all in monthly is going to be $3,275. And all in for the year is going to be $39,300. So renting in this scenario, with the average cost, you're looking at about $20,000 a year. And with this scenario, with home ownership, you're looking at about $40,000 a year. So a $20,000 difference. What cultural and entertainment options does Boise offer? It's actually pretty good. It's like a well-loaded baked potato. So you have the Tree Fort Fest. It's like Coachella's indie-loving cousin, and that's held every March. You have the Idaho Shakespeare Festival, outdoor Shakespeare with a side of fresh air. It is lovely. Hands down, one of my favorite. You got the Boise Art Museum, solid mix of contemporary and classic art. And then you have Boise Contemporary Theater. So you're going to get modern plays there that make you laugh and think. And just the other week, I took my kids out recently to the Boise Philharmonic, and it was great. My kids loved it. So I would say this, you can come to Idaho, drink your Pabst beer, be the redneck, drive an old beat up truck, and in Idaho, specifically in Boise, you can get dressed up, go out, do some fine dining, and have some amazing shows at your fingertips. And me personally, I like to live in both worlds, though I did just sell my old beat up F-150 and buy a nicer Toyota Tundra, but that's beside the point. Do Idahoans truly dislike Californians? So all you Californians have been waiting for this question, and I'm going to try to do my best to answer it and do justice to all the locals here. It's not that Idahoans and people from Boise dislike Californians, though I think even some people would argue with me on that matter right there. It's just that too many moving in too fast has really changed the city quickly, and it's changed it in a lot of ways. So some locals worry about rising home prices, increased traffic, and losing that Boise kind of small town feel that they've grown up with and grown to love. With that said, again, I think if you respect the culture, you support small business, you don't constantly compare Boise to California, then I think you'll do just fine. And I think if you're just nice, I think people just don't give two rips about some of your stuff. But if you're a jerk, it's probably not going to go over too well. And I don't know where you're going to go where people are going to welcome that. Now, I'll also say this to the locals watching the channel. The vast majority of people moving to Idaho, 60% of them are Republicans, with ex-Californians really leading the charge in that. So Idaho naturally attracts Republicans. Now, that's all the questions that I could think of for now. But if you have one that I didn't cover, be sure to drop it in the comments down below, and I'll be checking and answering those whenever I get a chance. And if you're still on the fence about moving to Idaho, I've got plenty of other videos on my YouTube channel that you guys can dive deeper into, highlighting a lot of the major different cities in the state of Idaho and just talking about what Idaho is like in general, highlighting neighborhoods, pros and cons, all of it. I try to do my best to give you guys a really good overview of what it's like to actually live here. And hey, if you don't know anybody yet here in the state of Idaho, don't fret. You're definitely not alone in this journey. There is a whole community of people just like you who have made that move and have made the relocation. So we can be your resource for helping you get moved here and help you kind of find your people. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next video.